Hello, so for this video I wanted to talk about different resources that I use and that really help me for anxiety. There are a lot of tools and resources that I use beyond these that have helped me with my anxiety over the years and made a big difference in like my mindset habits that contribute to anxiety. But for this video I'm solely going to be focusing on like media resources. So I have some podcasts, YouTube channels, books, and Instagram accounts that I think are really useful for specifically like addressing anxiety, and they provide tools. They're things that like I either learn from or they just help me feel better. And these things are not like replacement for therapy or something like that. I definitely think that therapy and getting treated is important, but sometimes you can't always do that, or these are just good things to help supplement other avenues that you're taking to deal with your anxiety. And like I said, just help boost like your learning and the different tools that you can use to manage and heal. Okay, so I'm gonna start with podcasts, and I really love podcasts like so much, and there's especially self-help podcasts or like just podcasts talking about life and creativity and art and things like that. But like I said, especially self-help. So there are a lot that I listen to, but the ones I'm sharing I feel are really good in particular for addressing anxiety. Okay, so I have 4 podcasts, and the first is called Reset by Liz Tran. She's the host, and so this podcast talks about life, mental health, like productivity and career, but kind of helps reframe it in a different way that is more focused on maintaining positive mental health and spiritual growth in a way too. So just listening to the host talk about different experiences she has had, or listening to her conversations with others helps me kind of see things in that perspective. And I think there are a few episodes that address anxiety, or like it's something that she does address throughout her episodes. So it's just really helpful for when you need reminders about like how you see life and the world, so that the way you see it and how you're living it can help reduce anxiety. So I really like that one. And then the next one is really good. It's called Unfuck Your Brain, and the host is Cara Lowenthal. And she's a self-help work coach, I think is how she describes herself, and she uses like a feminist framework. She used to be a lawyer, and she also has like a separate coaching program that you can pay for, but the podcast is free, and it's really good because a lot of the coaching techniques, she makes episodes about them, and they're really great tools and like actionable things that you can do to essentially retrain your brain and retrain your thought habits, so that you end up with less anxiety and less negative emotions, and you can just like approach life with a clearer head, or like in the mindset that you want to approach it in. So I really like that one. And then the third one is called The Gentler Podcast, and the host is Maya Fleming, and this one describes itself as practical self-care. So basically she talks about different self-care things. She addresses financial self-care, mental, career, and it's especially good if you're like a young adult, because I think she's like around my age, and that's like kind of what her content is geared towards. So it's helpful if like you're trying to navigate your career, navigate your finances, but also like take care of yourself. And she talks about like productivity and planning in a way that is not overwhelming, and not like just focus on productivity, but being able to do what you want to do and feel good at the same time. Okay, and then the last last podcast show is called Spiraling, and I have only listened to 1 episode so far, but I do plan on listening to more episodes because so there's 2 hosts. One of the co-hosts is Katie Dalebout, and she hosts alone another podcast of hers called Let It Out, and I've been listening to that one a lot and I really like it. So I decided to listen to this other podcast, and because this one is specifically like it says that it's specifically addressing anxiety, and it's for people with anxiety. So I think that this could potentially be another good resource to help you just not feel like alone or like weird or bad about having anxiety in general or in certain situations. And then they also, I think, offer like different tools and resources for dealing with anxiety. Yeah, so, but like I said, I've only listened to one episode of that one so far, so I can't give like a full review or analysis of it, but I think it is something that I will refer to going from now on. Yeah. Okay, and then the next topic or category is books. So I have 3 books. I think I'll start with the one that has made the most impact on me, and this is The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, or Tolle. I don't know how to say his last name, but yeah, so this one's really popular. Eckhart Tolle is really popular, I think, at least in this category of thought, and I think this is a really good book. So I first listened to it, well, I've only listened to it in audio form. I have a physical copy, but I haven't fully read the physical copy. I've listened to it more than once, the whole thing through. And so basically in this book he kind of focuses on enlightenment and releasing the ego through like the power of being present and being in the now and leaving the analytical mind. And so yeah, just listening to this has really helped me, and I still really love listening to it when I'm not feeling well or I feel like I need to just like learn about that again, because I mean it's not really, it's like a lifetime practice. It's not really something that you can just read and then you're like, oh yeah, like I can do this now, or like I understand it. And it's kind of weird because it's also not even about understanding it mentally, but like just living it and being it. So yeah, but even just like because he actually reads it, so I think the audiobook is really great because listening to someone read that to you is really relaxing in itself, but then also the material is really helpful for anxiety. And yeah, and just learning that different way of thinking about life and practice has been really good for my anxiety, and it's really good for negative emotions in general. Okay, and then the next book is called You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero, I think is how you say her name. And so this one's really cheesy, but it did really help me when I needed it, and I think that I would like to read it or listen to it again, because this one I actually also listened to as an audiobook, and I use the Libby app for audiobooks, so I didn't buy it, but I rent them. Yeah, so it's not as like deep as the other book or other resources and materials, but it's really good if you feel like you need like a pep talk or you just want your mood to be brought up. And she talks about things that are just really good reminders, or I mean some things may not be reminders but may actually be things that you never heard before you needed to hear. But yeah, it's really good for boosting my mood. That's what I experienced, and it helped me with my anxiety when I listened to it. So that's why I'm recommending it. Okay, and then the last book that I'm recommending is called Late Bloomers by Rich Karlgaard, and the like subtitle of the book is The Power of Patience in a World Obsessed with Early Achievement. So I definitely think this is helpful if you have anxiety that stems from like worrying about productivity and worrying about where you are in life, in your career, and worrying about like it says different achievements that you have or haven't accomplished within a certain time frame, because he talks about like many of the benefits of being a so-called late bloomer, and just like how it's kind of this idea of achievement that we have is so skewed and messed up. And then he gives like examples of people who would be considered late bloomers. And yeah, so it just helps you realize that there's no timeline that you need to be on for your life, and kind of like helps go hand in hand with learning the idea that your success, like the external idea of what success is, and you achieving that, or your accomplishments, does not and should not be tied to your self-worth as a person, which I think is something that I have anxiety about, and I know a lot of other people have anxiety about. So that's why I think this book is really good for anxiety, if that is something that causes or is a factor in your anxiety. Yeah, so those are all the books. There's many other books and many books that I haven't read yet, but those are 3 that I have read that I think would be good for anxiety. So the next category is YouTube channels, and I have 2 YouTube channels in this category. I really love watching YouTube videos too, but I feel like these 2 are really good for having videos about the topic of anxiety and mental health and different things that can help. So the first channel is Rowena Sai, and she does a lot of different topics of videos, but she does do a lot that are on the topic of mental health, self-care, productivity, but productivity that's not in a hyper productive mindset, but in like a gentle, healthy productivity mindset. Yeah, so they're really useful and helpful for that. So that's why I think those videos of hers are good for anxiety. And then the second channel is the Bliss Bean, and she has a variety of different categories of videos that she does too, but she does also do videos that are centered on self-help, like self-care and mental health and journaling and productivity, but also in that same manner of healthy productivity. And she has, like I said, a lot of videos about journaling, and so those are really good if you're not sure how to journal, or you need journaling prompts or different methods of journaling to help process like anxiety and your feelings in general. So yeah, both of these channels I think give really good information and examples and different ways that you can take from them and try out different ways of managing your self-care, your mental health, and your productivity in a way that will ultimately benefit you if you have anxiety. And yeah. Okay, and then the last category is Instagram accounts. So I think that, I feel like this has been talked about a lot, but Instagram can be a place that causes anxiety for some people, but I think it's really important to learn how to use it and have boundaries and intention with using Instagram. So that's what I try to do, and so that's why I have these accounts that I follow that I feel bring something to me. I learned from them, or they help me in different ways. So I have quite a few Instagram accounts. So the first one is Holisticism, and they also have a podcast called The 12th House. So now this one, well, it describes itself as mystical approaches to well-being and intuitive business. And so, as you can tell in the description, they do publish a lot of stuff having to do with business if you're like a small business owner or something like that. And so it depends on if you want to see that or not, but they do also publish a lot of self-help and self-care and healing information. And the great thing about they also offer a lot of workshops about wellness and stuff. So the great thing about them, like I was saying, is that they acknowledge and work to produce content and offering and workshops and stuff that reject the appropriation of a lot of wellness practices that a lot of people, especially white people, do in the wellness like community or industry, I guess. And a lot of it is whitewashed, so they work against that. They make sure that they focus and center a lot of BIPOC creators and wellness healers, I guess you would say, and they operate like within an anti-capitalist framework. So I think that's really important. And yeah, so just a lot of things that they offer can be useful if you have anxiety or experienced anything like that. And yeah, the next account is Bunny Michael. So they are an artist slash creator, and they also have a podcast called XO Higher Self. So on their page they feature, like, in general their work focuses on the higher self, and yeah, the higher self, and seeing situations in your life from a different perspective, from the perspective of your higher self, and tapping into that. And then again, they also center and have like they also center the BIPOC experience and are queer themselves and have a queer lens. So that's really good if you're queer or you're a BIPOC person. Yeah, because like they mention and talk about on their pages, a lot of like wellness or like self-help is very, I guess, just like white or like appropriated, and can be harmful in a lot of ways. So it's really great that they're doing this work. Okay, and then the next account is, it's kind of like two accounts. So this person, Linnea Sims, I believe I'm saying that's how you say her name, has an account called Interplay, and Interplay is like a community that she has. It's like you can join a membership or you can join workshops that she has that center around creativity, healthy productivity, self-help, similar things like that. So yeah, unfortunately I have never attended any of those workshops, just because I can't really afford to right now, but I would like to at some point in the future, and I still get a lot of value from what she shares on the Instagram account. So yeah, I think that following that would be really helpful, especially if you're kind of more, you get anxiety about like creativity or creating things, or like that's kind of like where you're coming from, is more artistic and creative. And then the final three accounts are kind of like design accounts. So they share pretty much like different digital designs, illustrations, I guess, infographics, some maybe not really an infographic, but so these are subliming.jpg, We the Urban, and Beaming Design. So subliming.jpg and Beaming Design feature designs that they've made that usually will have different quotes that have to do with self-help, enlightenment, your higher self. And yeah, so I think that that's really beneficial for anxiety, and like since they're their designs, they're really beautiful, so that is also an added thing to that. And then We the Urban describes itself as Black owned, celebrating inclusivity, self-love, and marginalized voices. So they also post a lot of beautiful designs and infographics, I guess you can call them, that are really good. Also like quotes, but I don't really think they source them from anywhere. I think it's like their own content that they come up with, and their different prompts like to help you think about situations in your life differently. And I think they could also be really good journaling prompts and other things like reminders or affirmations. So overall, again, really good for anxiety, and they're also really beautiful to look at. So yeah, those are all of the media resources that I wanted to recommend for anxiety, for just different sources of like inspiration or reminders, affirmations, different ways of thinking about things, different tools that you can use to manage your anxiety, or like they present a lot of different tools that you can learn about through the different media that they release. So yeah, I hope that made sense. But yeah, and like I said, these are only certain media resources that I'm recommending. They're not like the only tools or resources that a person or I use to deal with anxiety. Yeah, and again, you know your situation best. So if you need therapy and that's something that you can do, I definitely recommend that. I have done that before when I was able to. But yeah, hopefully these are just things that can help you in any way, or that you can use to supplement the other things that you're doing to help you through anxiety, and can hopefully help make you feel less alone. So yeah, but yeah, that's it, and thank you so much for watching. Bye.